Alright, so I guess we'll start off with your name. Introduce yourself.
My name is Jedidia Reid. Call me Jedi, short for Jedidia. Born in 1978, same year Star Wars came out, so I didn't pick my nickname, it picked me.
That's what's
We're in San Antonio, Texas, an Element Tattoo Studio. But yeah, we're a custom tattoo studio. Most of what we do, we draw, and everybody's got iPhones and computers, so they do a lot of homework and bring in reference points, and a lot of people bring in the same stuff over and over and over. But yeah, we try to direct people on the right path and do good tattoos.
So you like when people bring in reference points, or would you rather just give them, or them give you a loose idea?
It depends on the person, the situation. That's a tricky question, you know.
Yeah.
Some girl that wants a specific type of, butterfly or flower that I never heard of, yeah, a reference would help, but certain stuff, I mean, I can draw it better, so it works both ways, man. I like people to do a little homework and know what they're talking about, but sometimes people just want a cool tattoo, and that's cool too,
Yes,
works both ways. 99 is when I started messing with tattooing. I had worked in the studio for a couple of years, like a lot of tattooers at that time. I got my foot in the door through piercing. Piercing was really popular, and tattooing was a little more hardcore. People didn't let you just walk in and start tattooing. You couldn't get online and Google or buy something on eBay and learn how to tattoo. It wasn't like that. It was a totally different situation. So I had to do a formal apprenticeship. I started in 99. I really didn't start hitting the skin probably until 2001. I say I've been tattooing 13 years, but some of that 13 years was actually learning to tattoo. And I got to a point probably in my 5th or 6th year where I figured out that I had no idea what the hell I was doing, and I kind of started over, man. I started putting a lot more black in my tattoos and figuring out the difference between longevity and non-longevity tattoos, Certain tattoos are built to last and some ones aren't. I'm pretty all over the board. I'd like to say most artists are. Some days I wake up and I feel like doing graffiti, and some days I feel like doing Japanese tattoos, big scale stuff. I like to do timeless tattoos. I like to do something that a person can get when they're 18 years old or wear it till they're 80 and it's still going to be cool, Some girl's name on your neck ain't going to be cool, A Japanese back piece is
always
pretty rad,
cool. Yeah.
Naked women are always going to be sexy. It's always going to be cool to have a naked chick on you, whether you're 18 or 80. There's certain stuff I like to do. I don't like tattooing lettering. I don't like tattooing the ribs, just because it's a very difficult area, and lettering looks like bumper stickers. It doesn't look like tattoos. I heard a wise man say that a picture's worth 1,000 words. Tattoos should be pictures, not words. I started getting tattooed a lot. When I was a kid, I was all sleeved out before the time I was 18 years old. By the time I was 21, I was pretty covered, and then I started looking around. Multimedia really started blowing up, the internet, so you could see tattooers from Japan and Italy and all over Europe and see what they were doing, and they could see what you were doing, and then you start realizing how bad you suck,
Think the internet helped push how good tattoos are, or how much the art form is paying?
I think it helps, yeah, of course. I think it kind of ruined a little bit of the secret society that tattooing once was. There's no longer that hardcore, I don't want to say biker mentality, but it used to be a rough and tumble type gangster thing. Not everybody had tattoos. It wasn't socially acceptable. It was something that you were kind of scared to go into a tattoo shop. Nowadays, there's so many tattoo shops that everybody's trying to be art gallery oriented, and it's lost its power in that way, in essence, but it's gained the power by by being worldwide and everybody being able to see what you're doing. So there's more pressure on you to do bigger, better, badder stuff, you know?
Since you've been heavily tattooed for so long, have you noticed how society changed the way they look at you since like Miami Inks and stuff like that came out?
Yeah, of course, man. TV really, I don't want to say it ruined tattooing, but it definitely opened up a lot of doors to different people. I read something in Maxim that said 60% of America's tattooed. That means over half of our society's tattooed. Whether it be just, you know, a simple lambda frat boy tat or something a lot more elaborate. I mean, that means a lot of people are having tattoos. It's cool, but along with the more the volume goes up, also the wider the qualitative state is, you know, whether it's really good or really bad, and that works both ways.
Like, what are some do's and don'ts for, I would say, customers coming into a shop wanting to work with artists? What are some pet peeves you don't like?
Man, you know what I don't like is everybody wants to show you something on their iPhone that they saw on somebody else. Nobody has any original ideas of their own. Instead of coming to an artist and say, hey, I would like to get a dragon tattooed, per se, on my arm. Most of the time they're like, hey, I got 75 downloads off of Google when I typed in dragon, and I like this and this and this and this and this and that. It takes a lot of the creative elements out of the tattoo process. That's one of my pet peeves. Also, cheap people bother me. I mean, you got some kid that rolls in, he's wearing some Affliction shirt that cost him $100, and he's got Jordans that cost him $3 and some, you know, Lucky jeans and whatever, and then he's haggling price on something that's going to be on his body for the rest of his life. You gotta be fucking kidding me, man.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, about price haggling, and everybody always wants a cheap tattoo, but they want a good tattoo.
Right.
At the same time.
They don't work together, man. Very rarely. You might have that homeboy hookup or this or that, but it's rare to see cheap isn't good, good isn't cheap. That's an old saying, and it's still true. It really depends on the tattoo, man. It's like going to a car lot and buying a car. You want a Pontiac, you want a Cadillac. What can you afford, you know? But just because you can afford a Cadillac, most of the time, those people are frugal or not going to spend the money, you know? It's weird.
So you don't do it hourly, you do it by the piece?
Depends on the tattoo.
Depends on the tattoo.
It really does. You know, something I can do in one sitting, why would I charge by the hour, you know? And especially people like me, I mean, the evolution of the machines, the inks, the pigments, you know, everything's changed. You know, something I would do 10 years ago that took me 2 hours, I can do in 30 minutes nowadays. So it's not really fair to me.
Right.
But in the same aspect, when I started tattooing, gloves were $2 a box. Now they're $12 a box. You know, the pigments, I'm not going to tell you my secrets, but they've gone up quite a bit. Things have changed, you know, the evolution. But the price of tattooing since I started has kind of stayed the same. It hasn't. I mean, when I started, it was $100 an hour. Now, I mean, top-notch artists generally are charged about $150 an hour. That's 13 years, and only $50 an hour has gone up. But the price on all the supplies and everything involved have gone up, 600%. So, but it depends on where you're at. You know, what I charge in San Francisco and what I charge in South Texas are two different ballparks. You know, when you're living in San Antonio and an efficiency apartment costs $400, and you live in San Francisco and it costs $4,000, it's a big difference. You know.
So you have any advice for any kind of younger artists that are thinking about getting into the tattooing as an art form?
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
There's too many people tattooing, and too many people doing it for the wrong reasons. And if it's meant to be, it's going to happen. But it's really one of those industries that's super swamped. And I don't even like to call it an industry, because it's like being a carpenter. It's a craft. There's a craftsmanship to tattooing. There's a craftsmanship to learning how to tattoo and doing it properly. And too many people have lost that, and they're just trying to make a quick buck, or they're going to prison and they're coming out thinking they're tattooers. You get a lot of that kind of stuff. You get these kids that watch Miami Ink and they think they can tattoo. Well, shit, I watch dudes BMX across America and do backflips. It doesn't mean I can fucking do it,
Right.
you know? But my advice, get a real job. You won't be hunched over and sore. It's a lot of work.
I don't think people even realize that, like the body fatigue that you go through
Yeah.
to actually do the tattoo.
Yeah, it's not fun walking around hunchback. When you tattoo, I average a 12 to 14 hour work day. And there's days where I question my sanity, like, what the hell am I doing? But the love I have for tattooing always overpowers that. I'm only 33 years old. I can't imagine when I'm 50, you know, what my body's going to be like that. That kind of shape and that trauma that I put it through.